Continuing with our series that's previewing our local communities as we head towards March Town Meeting, which will be held this year on March 5th. We return to Winhall. Earlier, we checked in with Lissa Stark, the town administrator of Winhall, to learn about the municipal side of things for the budget and special warrant articles Winhall's voters will be asked to decide on during their traditional voting off the floor town meeting. More recently, we stopped in for a conversation with Jennifer Samuelson, the chair of the school board of the Winhall School District, to find out what Winhall's voters will be seeing when it comes to their local school budget. Winhall is part of the Bennington-Rutland Supervisory Union, but is its own separate school district. It does not operate its own school, but tuitions out all of its students, estimated to be in the 190 to 200 range this coming year. Some go to the Mountain School in Winhall, while other students go to the Maple Street School or Burton Academy in Manchester and elsewhere. This year, Winhall, like many other communities across the state, is seeing a bump in their school tax rates due to their rising property values and the need for a town reappraisal to balance out the Common Level of Appraisal, or CLA, which is pushing upward pressure on tax rates. Chair Jennifer Samuelson gave us the overview of the school budget their board has developed and will be presenting at town meeting.
If you look at our budget, it's really the same budget from last year. I think our budget has increased by a total of 1%, just the raw data before we start tinkering with the, how that breaks down. And the warnings are almost identical to what they were last year. So we as the school board haven't changed very much going into the preparation of the budget. But what has really changed is the calculation and what that means in terms of our education tax rate. So voters will notice that our tax rate is expected to go up somewhat significantly this year. But none of those factors, unfortunately, are anything within our control. And it really boils down to a few different things. One is there are factors that sort of go into the calculation of the budget. One of them is the weighted pupil count, and that number, that calculation has changed this year. So if you think about like the total, population and money to be spent on students as, kind of a pie, the calculation of how to split the pie has changed. There are the idea behind the pupil weights is that some students cost more to educate than others. And so you could imagine if you have a student who just arrived here, from somewhere somewhere outside of the United States who doesn't speak English, that student might take more resources to help them succeed than someone who already speaks English. So conceptually, some students do cost more to educate than others. Winhall doesn't have a whole lot of second, English language learners. So that kind of shrinks our little portion of the pie. What we did benefit from is you do get a benefit for being in a rural district. So, we did get some benefit for being rural. But overall, our percentage of weighted pupils, as a portion of the whole pie has gone down this year. And that means that our tax rate goes up. So that's one thing. The other thing that has really come into play this year is the property yield. That number has gone down 40% this year, and voters might remember last year we had sort of a one-time gift because I think there was money that had to be spent last year or it was going to be lost, and that resulted in a 20-cent tax drop last year. That's gone. That money has now evaporated. So that too is pushing our tax rate back up, and the property yield, as the property yield goes down, our taxes go up, and the property yield has dropped a lot. So again, that's kind of pushing our tax rate up. And then the third thing is, something that voters might intuitively understand, our property values have increased. So anytime, and that's something where if you look at the arm's length sales over the last 3-year period, I think, if houses are selling above their appraised value, then our CLA, the Common Level of Appraisal, goes down. And as that goes down, again, that pushes the tax rate up. So, our values have increased, but that means that our property taxes are also increasing. So unfortunately, none of those things are within our control. got a budget that looks very similar to last year, but it's just, by the time you factor in all of those other elements, it ends up, we're looking at a big tax rate increase this year of about 40 cents, which is a lot. It's a lot. But it still is within the realm of our historic tax rates. We've been keeping that data for the last 10 plus years, and we are still, we're under $2. That's where we're anticipating will come out. So it's still within that realm, but we understand this is going to be hard for a lot of people. Prices are going up. Money is getting harder to stretch. We're all in this together, and I think the only thing that makes me feel any bit at all better about this is that almost every school, every town in Vermont, I think, is seeing an increased tax rate this year. So it's hard. It's a hard year.
Again, Town Meeting Day is Tuesday, March 5th. In addition to the off-the-floor voting, Australian ballot voting for elected officials and ballot articles will be held in Winhall from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Any voter unable to come to the polls may request an absentee ballot by contacting the Winhall Town Clerk no later than 1 p.m. on Monday, March 4th. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.